On today's episode of SchuZ Views, you'll get to see my view on the top young cores and the rivalries brewing, the Eastern Conference playoff race, the Final Four. Philip Johnson will also join the show to talk about AAU basketball, the NBA playoffs, the top NCAA players, and much more. Then, I've got some very interesting takes to talk about during SchuZ Zone. Stay tuned, today's got a lot of stuff to talk about. Good morning, everyone. I hope that everyone is having a blessed start or is in the midst of having a great day. I'm your host, Zach Schumaker, and I'd love to welcome you to the 5th episode of SchuZ Views. I'm here in Gilbert, Arizona, and I've got a special show ahead for you guys. Later on the show, you'll get to hear from my coach, Coach Philip Johnson, as we discuss many varying topics dealing with the NBA playoffs, youth basketball, and the AAU, the top 3 picks, March Madness, and so much more. Stay tuned to what he has to say and what I'm going to be covering today. I'm going to start this first topic off with a banger. I'm going to talk about something that I've heard some people discuss now, but I'm going to discuss some of the top young cores and the rivalries I see that will be panning out for the next many, many years. I got this idea by watching this past week the Milwaukee Bucks versus 76ers. That game was great, and I think they will be an amazing rivalry. I think that will be the main rivalry for many, many years. But I'm going to hit up on that topic very last because I think that will be the biggest one. I'm going to start in the Eastern Conference, and the first one I'm talking about is Atlanta versus Chicago. This past year, they went to many, many, many games that they were in a complete battle in that round. That being said, no, they're not a great team right now, but they are on the rise. Trust me, they both are on the rise and they're in the very right direction. Their general manager and their front offices are great, and the coaching staffs I like. That being said, let me break this down. Starting with Atlanta Hawks, this is what's basically locked in for them as of right now, not including the draft picks. They have Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Taurean Prince, John Collins, Ben Breen, and Amari Spellman. I love that young core. That's a very solid group, especially you guys know how high I am on Lloyd Pierce and Trae Young and John Collins. And they have a top pick this year. They also have Dallas, depending on how it falls. We'll see how it ends up the last couple games of the season. But that being said, they could be drafting someone. I think that the best pick possible for Orlando is Jarrett Culver. He fits in perfectly. Watching the way he took out and came up, no matter how much he's struggling, but he showed up in the end of that game was crucial. And I think scouts around the league really have a high value for him now. Point, I think they should get him. As we all saw, that was a very well matched up against Chicago. Chicago might everyone be wondering, they haven't really been that great. D-Rose was a great team, but we know what happened there, so on and so forth. Chicago right now is locked in Zach LaVine, Otto Porter, Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter, and Chandler Hutchinson. I do like Shaquille Harris. I think they will keep him, maybe even Ryan Arcidiacono. Chris Dunn is locked in, but I do not really care for him as much as being part of that young core. That being said, I left one position open as the point guard. Same story going on with Phoenix. I heard this talk and this take on First Take discussing where would be the best place for John Morant. I've said Phoenix many, many times. That's because I live here. I want to see them good. I think they will boost John Morant would boost Phoenix into being a playoff team. Well, guess what? The best potential place for John Morant to be in the NBA would be Chicago. Now, it's not likely they'd have to trade up and so on. But if Chicago gets John Morant, watch out. This is a contending team in a couple years. He will be the new Derrick Rose. Everyone saw how it happened. Derrick Rose captured that entire city. Derrick Rose was the leader of Chicago, and people were in love with him. Well, guess what? Pairing John Morant and the athleticism with Zach LaVine will be special. The grouping of the big men down there with Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter is already something to be watching out for. We didn't see much of Wendell Carter just due to the fact of injury. Otto Porter, you guys know how high I am on that specific trade that they did on trade deadline. But if you add John Morant, and don't forget, this kid can shoot. John Morant is a special kid. You guys know how high I am on him. But let me just say this. They can add him, that'd be great. If not, they can find another point guard. There's many guys. Terry Rozier I'm not as high on, but oh well. So yes, I believe that Chicago and Atlanta will be very, very high prospects and very high teams that you're going to want to watch in terms of rivalry building out. Next rivalry I want to discuss now is also one in the Eastern Conference that you guys know I am a big fan of. And these are not just necessarily the top young teams. There's many other teams. Don't you guys worry. There's other young teams I am fans of. They could be solid. They may not. Orlando, some of these teams might be decent. But listen, these are the time I'm talking about. These teams, I think rivalries are starting to build up again in the league. Not necessarily bad. But we saw Wizards in Chicago and Boston for a couple of years. Washington's no longer part of that because they're not as great. And Boston's not as great, to be honest. But here's the next team in the Eastern Conference. The New York Knicks versus the Brooklyn Nets. The bridge is all that separates these two teams. They've already been a rivalry. There's no one really pays attention because they have not been successful in terms of winning games right now. But let me tell you guys something. You guys know how high I am on the Brooklyn Nets, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going nowhere on them. New York Knicks, as much as I hate saying it, they have a great young core. They might screw it up this summer. We'll see what this management does. I am a bigger fan of that management than I ever have been before. I really think that what they got with Scott Perry and the rest of the crew up there is doing great. But as of right now, they've locked in DSJ, Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, Alonzo Trier, Damian Dawson, Kevin Knox, and Mitchell Robinson. And Robinson, I am a huge fan of. I think for the next 10 years, watch out. Robinson versus Jared Allen will be a show. They've already played a couple times. They go back and forth, dunking on each other. These two guys are freaks in nature at the center. That's going to be fun to watch develop. Kevin Knox, I think he's going to be a very good player. Dawson's a good backup. Trier might be one of those very elite six-man players, I do believe. He could be a starter, but I think keeping him in a six-man role will truly make him an elite player. I love Dennis Smith Jr. Ntilikina, I think he'll get moved this summer. Let's just be honest there. The rest of those guys, they have a lot of guys that are probably not sticking around. They have two max spots just like Brooklyn does. Down there across the borough in Brooklyn, what you've got right now is you've got Spencer Dinwiddie as the backup six-man. That might be tradable. We'll see what happens. I hope not. You got Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, John and Musa, Rodion, and Jared Allen locked in. D'Angelo, as we all know, is a restricted free agent. I hope they re-sign Ed Davis and DeMar Carroll and others. But let me just say this. Obviously, two max spots. I'll talk about this in a future episode when I talk about the free agent preview. But New York also does have a potential number one pick. They did secure the highest odds this past week because they have the worst record in the NBA. They might line Zion. That would change the story possibly, and it will be a show. That being said, I do believe. Now, you guys might think this is crazy, but if I'm a max star free agent, I don't know why you do not consider the Brooklyn Nets. How do you not consider it? Two max spots, known for chemistry, a big market, no drama around them. They're a 40-win team at least. As of right now, they're a 40-win team. What else do you want? Family-oriented, like I said, two max spots, and they got an all-star already there. D'Angelo can be re-signed. Depending on what they do with Allen Crowder, I believe Sean Marks will find a way to move him. This is a team I believe that can attract two free agents, and if I'm Brooklyn, Sean Marks, the only move I really highly consider would be getting Kevin Durant. That's what I'm preferring, and if I get Kevin Durant, I'm going to go try getting Kyrie. But first and foremost, Kevin Durant, because we need a stretch forward. That's what I'm going to say about that. We'll see. It's going to be a battle between the big markets this summer. Dallas might get involved. Sacramento might get involved. We'll see. But there will be a battle this summer in free agency. But let me just say, New York and Brooklyn, you put them in a 7-game series next year probably in the playoffs, it's going to be a show. New York will be a madhouse. Trust me, it will get crazy in New York. That's what I want to say about that. Next up, we're going to talk about is we're going to go over to the Western Conference now. This is one I don't necessarily say is going to be a young core. I do believe that some of these teams will start to shift around. But as of right now, I love this game this last past season. In the playoffs, hopefully they can match up at some point. But the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Portland Trail Blazers. Wow. This game is terrific. I want these guys playing. It's understood. It's crazy. Oklahoma, you got Russell Westbrook, which I'm going to get into later. Man just finished the season averaging a triple-double for the third straight year. Also had a 20-point, 20 rebound, 21 assists on a nip. Let me say this. I'm going to get more into that in a little bit. But this Oklahoma City team with Paul George, Jeremy Grant, Steven Adams, and the entire crew, Ferguson, I like him. They heard Andre Robertson may not be coming back this year. I feel bad. I don't know how long he's going to be out for possibly 2 years now. Point is, Dennis Schroeder off that bench, Markieff Morris. I like that. Portland lost the depth, but Enes Kanter is filling in amazing. Rodney Hood's been playing great. McCollum's coming back. Damian Lillard, we don't even need to discuss that. Y'all know how I feel about that. He's a supermax worthy player. That being said, this game is a 7-game series potential thing that I'd love to see go down at some point. Oklahoma can still shift a little bit around in the last couple games of the season. I want to watch Oklahoma City versus Portland as a 7-game series again. This is a special game that I don't think anyone wants to miss out on. You don't want to miss out on none of that. This is a special team. Now, once again, it's not going to be long-term, but right now. Now, let me talk about this. The next team I'm going to talk about in the West is a young team. It's two young teams that are already on the rise and already top two. Both of them are top 5 in the West. Top 4 maybe. I don't know what Utah is. It's Utah versus Denver. Now, they're not necessarily a rivalry. We haven't seen much action go down between them. But trust me, this is going to be special. It's two small market teams that have gained super teams. They were on their way working, and these fans are crazy. You see Utah. We know how Utah works. Not saying I like it. There's a lot of bad stuff that goes down in Utah, but they are crazy fans. We can all admit that. And Denver is a crazy place to play in very high altitude. That being said, these two teams, let me tell you what's locked in now for Utah. You got Donovan Mitchell, Grayson Allen, Joey Ingles, Royce O'Neal, Rudy Gobert, Raul with a lot of free agents. Exum, I'm going to say this real quick. I touched up a little bit on this last episode. I believe if Dante Exum never reaches injuries and has been staying injury prone and never does get injury prone, I believe that a big three of Exum, Mitchell, and Gobert will be a contending big three. Those three guys are special. I'm heartbroken and it sucks to see someone like Dante Exum go down with this many injuries. We'll see they continue to develop players. We'll see how they keep go. Also, if Exum does not work out, they need to get that Mike Conley that I touched up on last episode as well. That being said, on the other side of this is Denver. We know what they got building out there. They basically have an entire starting five besides a small four that I believe can lock in. Now, Jamal Murray, Monty Morris will be the future backup. Gary Harris and Malik Beasley. I believe Malik Beasley should be starting, though. I think that they should get out of the Gary Harris and Bill Barton contract at some point. You got Michael Porter Jr. Everyone's forgetting about him. He was a potential number one pick in the draft. They were discussing that 1-2, who knew, but his injuries. He'll be back next year. Jokic and Plumlee. Denver, I'm a huge fan of them. They're going to continue to get guys. You got Torrey Craig. You got Juancho Hernan-Gomez. You got different guys like that. Millsap plans on staying long term, as he said this past week. I like Denver, and I like Utah. These two teams will put on a show for a long time. If they get matched up in the playoffs at some point, even this year, watch out. I believe that Denver will be out in the first round because of unexperienced. I'll just touch on this as another sneak preview. There will be a midweek episode, folks. My coach Kurt Keener, will be interviewed and will be a special guest on the next episode, and I'll discuss the playoff breakdown on Thursday. Stay tuned for that episode. But I'll get a little bit lighter about this, but Utah and Denver are a special young group brewing thing. Next one. This is going to be a fun one, folks. A lot of people don't watch it because, well, they're necessarily two great teams. Sacramento's bouncing in and out, but Sacramento versus Phoenix. I've talked about this so many times now. Phoenix gets a point guard if it's Lonzo, if it's Ja, whoever it is. Phoenix will be on the rise. Okay? They will be on the rise. I think that Phoenix is special. You give me Devin Booker, Kelly Oubre, and DeAndre Ayton with McCall's defense and a point guard and Rashawn Holmes backing him up. Woo. That's crazy. I am a huge support of Phoenix. They need to get the right management. I like James Jones, and if they need to keep him do it, I think the best GM prospect right now is the Nets assistant, Dragan Langford. He should be hired, but I believe he'll take the New Orleans job, in my opinion. They need to get the right man to draft this class into this free agency because there's something special brewing in Phoenix. You need to figure out how to trade Josh, how to trade out T.J. Warren, and we'll see how this brews. But there's something special there. And Sacramento, I've talked about this before. You're giving me the Sacramento team with De'Aaron Fox at the point, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, a great addition there. Bogdan Bogdanovic, Marvin Bagley. You basically have your starting five besides the five, and Harry Giles might just be that starting five. I haven't seen enough this past season. He's still dealing with injuries, but what I've seen as a rookie coming off the injury, he says injury-free. Giles will be that starting five, but they got guys to play. This Sacramento team is not no joke. Y'all need to watch out for the Sacramento team. Sacramento versus Phoenix Suns is a special, special rivalry that's brewing. We already know the connection between Marvin and DeAndre, playing together in high school, growing up, battling top freshman last year, top 1-2 pick. It is special, folks. It is special. Two Kentucky guys, been De'Aaron Fox and Devin Booker. Watch out. I'm a huge fan of this. I think that it's going to be special. It is truly going to be special. Watch out for this rivalry, folks. I'm a huge fan of the Sacramento Kings versus the Phoenix Suns. I told you guys I'm going to talk about this last one, the best for last, because this is the rivalry for the next 10 years or more. Unless someone else builds something special, this is where we're going to be looking at. And notice something. Before I go any further, I said I'm talking about Milwaukee and Philadelphia. That's the main rivalry. Who am I forgetting? Toronto's not going to be a long term, but what's the other young core everyone's going to probably be mad at me for? Boston. I don't have the Celtics in any of these big rivalries. I am not a fan of this Boston Celtics team whatsoever. There's a lot of stars in this weird ages here. Listen to me. This is all Boston got really locked in right now. This is it. You ready? They don't have a point guard really locked in. You can call Smart that Kyrie's a free agent. I don't think he's staying. I will be shocked if Kyrie ever stays. I think he's going to Brooklyn. He's going to New York. He's going to Clippers. He's going somewhere. Maybe Lakers. He's not staying in Boston. Rozier's a restricted free agent. They can try keeping him, but that's going to be too much money to retain the rights of Jaylen Brown and Tatum that's coming up soon. Tatum's wanting that max deal, I can tell you that much. So Rozier, I'm not even sure he's going to be a starting caliber player. This year when he starts, it's not been good. Let me just say that Smart, I love what he's been doing. Sure, he's locking him at shooting guard. Brown and Tatum. There's no center. Al Horford's a free agent. Baines is a free agent. Marcus Morrisall's a free agent. Hayward, you got him locked in. But I don't know how great he will be if you're going to start him or not. Ojale and Yabusele, Great. Robert Williams, I think, will become that new backup center. I'm not a big fan of this team whatsoever. Tatum might become a really good player in Brown as well, but I am not big fans. I'm not a big fan of this team. Y'all can blast me all you guys want, but I am not a fan of this Boston Celtics team. I think it's unbelievable that people keep saying Boston's contenders and Boston, Boston, Boston. No! Just because he did something last year, Brad Stevens is a little bit overrated as a coach. He is. People keep saying he's the greatest coach. No. No, if he's that great, you don't even need to coach this team. Look at what Steve Kerr's done. That's what I want to say. It is laughable and outlandish to see what this team does this whole season. It's a drama show. They need to let go teams. They might need to reset this team. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a fan. Dan Ainge's great general manager. But no. Point is, let's get into the real show here. Milwaukee and Philadelphia. Y'all saw that show? It is already burning. A rivalry at a young age between Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo, two of the most dominant players. I'm going to touch up on this a little bit, talking about how to stop Giannis exactly, because a lot of people don't know. But let me say this. A lot of people say Giannis is like Shaq, a young Shaq or Shaq on the wing. Sure. My opinion, no. No. Kumar did say that before, but listen. Joel Embiid is the Shaq. He is the most dominant big man in the NBA right now. It's starting to debate it, but he can shoot as well. Free throw, and he can shoot the three. Giannis is something different. There is no one to compare Giannis to. No one. He doesn't have a jump shot, yes, but I don't care. Yeah, he's dominant. He's going to destroy every wing, every guy coming down the lane. And it's not even a competition. But who have we ever seen that? There's no one to compare that to. Blake Griffin? No. There's no one to compare Giannis to. He is a freak of nature. But let me talk about this. Milwaukee, I'm going to say this is a rivalry because of Giannis and JoJo. And Giannis and Simmons and so on. But I don't know what to say about Milwaukee completely. They need to re-sign some guys. They do have money. But that's because everyone's a free agent. They did just re-sign and lock up Bledsoe, which I like him. Bledsoe's a dog. He's a pit bull. He goes into every single player and plays hard. I loved him in Phoenix. I was disappointed when they moved him in that drama prior to the last season starting. But Bledsoe is the real deal. I love this kid. He's perfect for Giannis. Of course, you got Giannis, you got Wilson, Ilyasova, Sterling Brown's been showing up recently, and Dante DiVincenzo. I like that guy. But you got Middleton, you got Brogdon, you got Lopez, Mirotic, and George Hill, the key guys that are not free-signed this year. They need to get those guys back. The point is, Middleton, I think, is staying. Maybe he goes to Dallas. We'll see. I'll talk about that in later episodes. Malcolm Brogdon is very crucial for this team. But let's talk about this Philadelphia 76ers. Not much better. Ben Simmons locked in. I like Zaire Smith. Shane Milton is locked in. I don't know how long-term he will be there. Embiid and Jonah Bolden have been showing up. I do believe that Philadelphia will be mostly retaining Tobias first and foremost. That has to be the main crucial piece. He's younger. You also got Jimmy Butler, J.J. Redick, McConnell, Mike Scott, Ennis, Jonathan Simmons, frickin' Korkmaz, Boban, and you've got Amir Johnson, all free agents. They'll retain some of them, re-sign. I don't know exactly. I think keep that crew, though. Ugh. Both these teams, Philadelphia versus Milwaukee. Let's ask him. Let me just revisit this. Embiid had a 30-point triple-double, while Giannis put up 45. That's a show. Yes, Giannis stuffed the heck out of Joel Embiid. He did. I gotta say that I'm a big JoJo fan. He's from Kansas, Rock Chalk, but yeah. Let me just say this. This will be a rivalry burning for a very long time. These two teams are special, and we need to watch. If you guys get a chance to watch them, this game is terrific. These two players, these two squads have been built to perfection, and it's something you guys do not want to miss. There ain't going to be much more entertaining things than these two. I think that these two will be in the conference finals. And we'll see who wins. I do think Philadelphia will win, though, folks. Philadelphia has yet to play too many games with the whole starting five together. I don't know how Brogdon and those guys will retain if they're healthy or not. But this Philadelphia team is special. They are special. And Milwaukee. But Giannis and Embiid. This is something that 7-game series. Wow. There ain't going to be much better than that, folks. Stay tuned. The playoffs are coming up this Saturday. Stay tuned. Special guest Philip Johnson will be on the show next to discuss AAU basketball, NBA playoffs, who's going to win the NCAA game tonight, and much more. I wouldn't want to be going anywhere. Stay tuned. With great pleasure, I'd like to welcome one of my favorite coaches, Philip Johnson. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing all right.
All right, cool. So let's first start off. So explain to everyone what you do in terms of you and basketball and what you do for everyone right now.
So as far as like me with basketball, I work over at Pickup USA Fitness as a one of the GMs over there and a basketball trainer. I also run a youth program called Private Lessons, which I have fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade teams for boys that we just kind of play around the state and a little bit out of state. And I just kind of, like coaching and passing on knowledge to youth.
Hmm. And then, so let's get into this. To speak about youth basketball, what's necessarily your thoughts on the development of youth players?
As far as what?
Just in terms of what the impact is at AAU and just the different things in state and out of state in terms of you guys playing club.
So I think a huge impact that it has on youth players, obviously, it just starts getting them ready just to play more of a competitive level. I know
Hmm.
growing up, I had never ever played. I mean, my son is 11 and he's played more basketball in the last year than I probably played all the way up until I was like in high school. Um,
Hmm.
just the things that they can do now, kids are much more developed. They Kids are specializing much earlier at an earlier age, as far as they're not playing anything else but one sport, because you can play one sport year round. Um, when I was younger, there was no such thing really as basketball during baseball and football season. You play
Hmm.
football or baseball.
Yeah, for sure. And so, what necessarily, I guess, for you, what would you also say, kind of getting ready in terms of like college and possibly going on further? How else does that call or NC or the development of AAU help their players?
It gets them ready for competition. That's one of the
Hmm.
biggest things that I love about it is, you have a lot of good clubs out there that they don't just. It's not about participation. It's about you got
Hmm.
to compete. You got to put in the extra work, and that's what happens when you get to the higher levels. I mean, when you're playing professional, whether it be NBA, overseas, wherever you're in Mexico, wherever. Uh,
Hmm.
you got to be ready to compete. And if you're not ready for it, and you think because I'm on the team, I'm just going to be here, then it's not going to work for you. I love the fact that it does make it where the clubs are. You can play at a high competitive level, or you can go find a nice little club where you can kind of play and just learn the game of basketball.
Hmm. For sure. I know the other day we also talked a little bit about the difference between playing Arizona and the West Coast side compared to where you came from in Chicago. What would you say is the biggest difference between players and especially club tournaments and all that from West Coast to East Coast kind of stuff?
I would say the physicalness of it.
Hmm.
I and it may just be because I grew up, in the the 80s and the 90s and playing basketball in the early 2000s,
Hmm.
where it was much more physical. But I did all that growing up in Illinois, and to me, the game was just a little bit more. It was a little bit more physical. Out here, it seems a little bit more. Everyone's trying to be finesse and don't touch and all that kind of stuff. But that also may have gone with just how the game's going. Um,
Hmm.
but I just think like we talked about the other day, it's just Arizona has some good players. It's just
Hmm.
because it's a smaller. You don't have as many. Like you just have the Phoenix metropolitan area, and then Tucson, and you look like a state like Illinois, where you're looking at Chicago, which is, I mean, as big as both of those areas,
Hmm.
and then you have Springfield, Peoria. I mean, I came from a town called Rock Island, the Quad Cities. It is very, has produced many basketball players out of it, and then the Southern Illinois towns too. So just more to compete against as
Yeah, no. I mean, for sure. I mean, definitely see. I mean, Arizona's just grown. I mean, just from the time I first started playing basketball in second grade, I mean, it's already gone from we had guys, maybe Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye, the only guys really, and now you've got guys almost every year in the draft class that are coming out of Arizona. I mean, Marvin, DeAndre last year, then you got this year Brandon Clark. You're gonna have Nico. You're gonna have Josh. All these guys coming from different our state consistently from here. I mean, it's just constantly growing, which is great to see for sure.
It is, yeah. It is, I will have to say that yes, Arizona basketball is definitely growing, and that's
Hmm.
why I do love being a part of the the community.
Hmm.
Helping it grow and hopefully help produce more and more professional athletes and put Arizona more on the map as far
Hmm.
as basketball wise.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I guess the next thing we can talk about is obviously now the NBA playoffs are about a week away, and I just want to see who do you think is going to win the Eastern Conference side?
Oh man, that's hard. Well, you know me, I'm gonna definitely have to say my Chicago Bulls, but I think they're out of the playoffs, so I'll have to pass on that one. Um, I'm really kind of I'm really kind of liking a Giannis up there in over there in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Yeah.
if he can continue to roll the way he played the other night against Philly, I think that maybe they could either them or I got to show some love to Toronto too. Maybe
Yeah, for
Toronto,
sure.
yeah, with Kawhi, and then I got some ties to one of the players on the team, so I definitely
Mm-hmm.
got to try to definitely root for them too.
For
So
sure.
I'd
How
have
about
to
the
say either Toronto or Milwaukee.
mm-hmm. How about for the Western side?
um, is there anyone else but Golden State?
Yeah. So I guess you're saying Golden State's probably gonna win it all too.
Yeah, it's just they're tough, man. They were already tough, and then you add the 7-foot monster that can shoot and score from everywhere.
Yeah.
Even if two have an off night, you got another one, and now with Boogie Cousins, you got another two to three guys that can
Mm-hmm.
still put up 20 points for you. They're just really tough to stop.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much always like gone conclusion. They're gonna win it. But so let's also talk about NCAA is now got the championship coming up on Monday. Who do you got winning out of Michigan State and Virginia?
Man,
I mean Texas Tech and
yeah, I
Virginia.
was gonna
Sorry.
say Michigan
Yeah.
State. Um, you know, I like that guy kid. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
I think he's good. I like as a shooter myself. I love shooters, and he just
Mm-hmm.
has one of the pure strokes. So you know me. I was going for Duke. I wanted to see Zion get it, but
Yeah, for
now that
sure.
they're gone, I guess I'll have to go with Virginia. I kind of like I like the shooter. I like the
Yeah.
shooter. A couple good shooters over there.
I mean, like I said on the last episode, I think Kyle Guy's really shown and made a name for himself this past tournament. I mean, no one really, I didn't know exactly who he was. I heard a little bit about him, but I mean, he's definitely got an NBA kind of shooting body, a Klay Thompson kind of like body and being able to shoot, and he could develop that if he gets to the league and all.
No, 100%. And if you don't mind me hitting on something else,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my favorite things about the tournament. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
had the kid from Purdue. I mean, I'm a Big Ten
Carson
guy from
Edwards. Oh
Illinois,
yeah.
and I didn't even really know about him that much
Oh
because now
yeah.
living out here, I don't see a lot of Big Ten games. You got
Mm-hmm.
the guy kid, no one really, you didn't get to see. Obviously, we all knew who Ja was, but to see him on that stage,
Yes, for sure.
every year, two or three guys come out that you're just like, and you just like, and I love seeing it as a fan of the sport, seeing
Mm-hmm.
these guys that you didn't know about, you didn't see come on the biggest stage. I mean, Steph Curry is one of the biggest ones that ever did that. Come on
Oh
the
yeah.
biggest stage and just make a name for themselves.
Same with Jimmer Fredette. I mean, also just seeing this year. I mean, I talked a little bit about that in one of my past episodes. That I think this tournament. I mean, a lot of people knew that this college season wasn't necessarily as deep and as much greatness as some other ones because it was mostly just overshadowed all by Duke. It was Duke pretty much all in the media. There wasn't much depth out of other teams. I mean, a lot of your blue buds like Kansas and all just weren't as dominant as they usually are. But I think seeing this tournament, you've got, like you said, all these players that truly stepped up to a whole other level. I mean, people are now seeing who Jarrett Culver is. I mean, executives around the NBA said he's a top 10 pick, so on and so on, but no one necessarily watched him a ton. I mean, seeing what he's done, especially last night, the way he closed that game was incredible. I mean, Brandon Clark showed up for Gonzaga. I mean, it's definitely been fun to watch that.
Yeah, no, there was definitely my players. I like how you had to throw that little Kansas thing in there, though.
Oh, yeah. But so I was talking about this last part now. Who do you think is going to be the top three? Who's the top three prospects, and who do you think will be the top three players picked in this next year's draft?
Oh man, so well, it's the Zion situation is tricky. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Is this fake news I'm hearing he's staying, or is this real news?
I would be shocked. I mean, he's got millions and millions, possibly $1 billion athlete. I would be shocked if he stays, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah. So let's if we're going with Zion coming out,
Let's say all the
obviously,
top everyone. Let's say everyone is declaring out of the top players that we know of right now.
then Zion is definitely going to be the number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's obviously he's a good player, but also I mean Zion's going to fill seats, and
Oh
this
yeah.
is a business too. So
Mm-hmm.
Zion will definitely be the number one pick. Man, my 2 and 3, there's just I have to make it. I would say I would go with Ja at number 2 if I
Mm-hmm.
was especially depending on who gets it. Like let's say like a team like the Suns get it,
Oh yeah, for
they could
sure.
use a point guard that can
Mm-hmm.
score as well to go alongside with Booker and Ayton and Kelly Oubre and a couple of the other guys.
Yeah.
Um, and then number 3, man, I think I honestly it has to come down to maybe what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people are high on RJ Barrett. You know me, I like RJ, but I'm not really high on him. Um,
Yeah.
I would like to see if Bobo could have stayed healthy.
For sure. He was dominating
Um,
the first part of the season.
Yeah, because he's a tall, long guy that can put the ball on the floor, shoot,
Hmm.
play some defense.
He's that
Um,
prototypical kind of point forward in a way that Giannis, Simmons,
yeah,
Porzingis kind of guy.
he would have definitely. I think he would have definitely been number three if he would have just stayed, if not two for sure.
Yeah,
Um, man, that's a tough one. The third one's hard, man.
yeah.
Man,
I mean, I'm kind of touching up on it. I think out of the prospects ranking, I think Zion will probably be the best player unless injury. I mean, if everyone stays healthy, I think Zion will be the number one prospect. But I do believe that Phoenix has the number one overall pick. I don't see how they draft Zion just in terms. Maybe they trade down and get up something else because Zion is a great player, but they're not going to win a championship if they don't have a point guard. I mean, point guard is one of the most needed positions to win a championship, and they got almost every position filled besides point guard. I mean, they got Booker at the two, Oubre and McCall at the two, 3 and 4, and you got DeAndre down low. I mean, they need Ja. I think Ja would make that team into at least something entertaining and possibly a contender.
that's true. That's true.
So I mean,
Could you see a Lakers Lonzo Ball trade for the number one pick,
if I mean, I wouldn't
and
do
the
number one.
and the
I
Lakers go and get Zion along with LeBron?
I mean, I think Lakers need to try getting Zion. I think that'd fit perfectly. But if I'm Phoenix, I'm taking Ja over Lonzo. I mean, he's younger and he just has that athleticism. I mean, we saw what he can do. He's a triple double with shooting and athleticism. I think he's
Th-
special.
That's definitely true. That's the jump shot alone is what will put him above Lonzo for sure.
hmm So I mean,
So
I'd say Zion will be the number one prospect, but I think Ja, if your Suns or something like if you're anyone but Suns because they just need that point guard to go to the next level, you have to go that. Maybe they trade down, but Zion number one, Ja two. I'd say Culver after watching the way he played last night, I think he has to be the number three. I think a perfect spot for Culver would be Atlanta. Putting him with Trey Young and John Collins would be something special.
yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Or I could,
Mm-hmm.
I see. I'm also high on PJ Washington
Yeah,
from Kentucky.
I mean, one last thing I guess we could speak up on that too. I was just gonna say, I think that so with the rumors of the NBA possibly now saying and the NCAA coming together and saying you don't have to go to if you're a top prospect you can go straight to the NBA. I think that's going to benefit a lot of people because I think we can all admit this past year Zion could have been in the NBA at least already. He dominated college last year with Marvin and DeAndre. There's always going to be one player, maybe two or three, that could potentially go straight out. But I think it's showing that a lot of these guys, if they stay 2 years in college, their game gets taken to a whole other level.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, 100%. I mean, besides the money, it'd be
hmm
if I was in Zion's situation, it would be tough because there's a lot of knock on his game and what is he exactly.
hmm
And another year I mean, Coach K, you can spend 5 minutes with Coach K and you're going to learn more about basketball than
yeah.
most people learn in a lifetime. But
hmm
another year with Coach K is very intriguing. You know what I mean? It's something that you look at like, because it could further your career as far as how good you become.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just seeing I mean, in my opinion, like I said, I think guys like Zion, they could go one and just be out, don't have to go to the NBA. But I think as long as players if you're like the third or fourth top prospect, no way. Because I mean, you think about it, Zion was going to put on a show no matter what. Marvin, some of these guys that are just freaks will be in the league. But you look at someone like Ja and Jarrett Culver especially, they were guys that were probably going to be able to get drafted last year. They were first round picks, but now they turn themselves into top five picks, and it's like they just brought the game to a whole other level just by staying one extra year to develop. And I think a perfect example of who should do it this year. I don't think he will, but Cameron Reddish. I mean, he took a backseat clearly to RJ and Zion, and that one extra year could develop him to a whole other level for next year.
Yeah, he could, but the only thing I see the problem with that is sometimes is always when you're with we see it happen with a couple guys at Kentucky in the past and
Mm-hmm.
Duke and stuff like that, where they stay and then you have another class of 1, 2, and 3 top high scorers in the nation coming in,
Yeah.
and you're not as good as that guy was before.
And that's what I mean. For sure. I mean, that's what I mean. But I'm saying if the top guys don't come in, because I think that staying. That's what I mean. I don't think he can because of the fact, like you said, there will be new guys coming in. But if they can get that rule done where the top of the top don't come into college, they just go straight to the league out of high school, then
Yeah,
that leads to development. I think it will benefit both the NBA in terms of getting the phenoms in there quicker and developing them and getting them into the league. Even if the NBA team says we'll draft Zion last year, but you're not playing this year, we're just going to develop you, kind of like with Philly done with Simmons, Embiid, and so on. You know, if they do something like that, and then in the college you got these guys that are other top players, but they can truly turn in and develop themselves into legit players. I
that's
mean, that's
true.
a great thing I think for both the league and NCAA. It's going to benefit them. I know Silver's full on with that. I just don't know. I don't think the college NCAA president is, but I mean, we'll have to see. But I mean, it's definitely. Blessing having you on here, Coach. If you'd ever like to come back, you're more than welcome to. I appreciate having you on here today, Coach.
I had a good time. Thanks for having me on. It was cool. Fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? I like talking sports, and definitely you're my favorite one, people to talk sports with and argue with about how bad Kansas teams are.
uh, appreciate it, Coach. Talk to you later.
Yep.
Stay right there. I wouldn't be going anywhere because there's one spot remaining in the Eastern Conference playoff spot. Now that Brooklyn and Orlando has clinched the playoff spot with 3 days remaining. Stay tuned to see what I think will occur in the last 3 days of the season and who will get in. With 3 days left in the season, there's only one spot now remaining in the Eastern Conference, which will come down to the Detroit Pistons, the Charlotte Hornets, and the Miami Heat. Brooklyn and Orlando have both clinched their playoff berths today, both ending long streaks. Orlando now no longer has the longest streak in the NBA for consecutive years without it being in the playoffs. Big props to both those teams, but let me get right into this. The Detroit Pistons currently are in the 8th spot, then Charlotte, then Miami. Detroit has a 39-41 record. They have 2 games remaining. They're at home against the Grizzlies, and they go to the Knicks to play. Charlotte will be at the Cavs, and then they'll be versus the Magic at home. The Miami Heat will be playing the 76ers at home and then playing the Nets on the road. They are 38-42. That being said, I do believe still that Detroit Pistons will be at the 8th seed. I do wish, knowing Dwayne Wade, I wish that D-Wade could be potentially in the playoffs for his last time, but it's not looking likely, folks. Charlotte's the 9th, Miami's the 10th after the loss to Toronto today in overtime. Bucks do clinch the number 1 overall record, and Warriors now have the number 1 record through the West. That being said, we'll see. There's a lot of shakeup that could still occur between the Eastern and Western Conference. Besides Milwaukee's number 1, Toronto, I believe, is almost clinched the number 2 spot. Golden State's number 1 out there. Denver's basically clinched the number 2 spot. But from there, it's still open. Brooklyn has 1 game remaining at Heat on Wednesday, and Orlando has 1 game remaining at Hornets. That being said, it's going to be a show, folks. Stay tuned, because like I said, we have a midweek episode coming up, and I will be able to discuss the NBA playoffs, going through all 16 teams. But like I said, there's only 1 spot remaining in the East. Get ready for a show this next week, folks. Tonight is the championship, but on Saturday was the Final Four. What do I have to say about the Final Four? Stay tuned, because next I'll be discussing what I think about the players and the outcomes of those 2 games. So we're now down to 2 remaining teams. There's only 2. The number 3 seed Texas Tech and the number 1 seed Virginia. That being said, I want to get into some of this. First off, before I talk about who's going to possibly win what, I do want to say this. Virginia vs. Auburn was a great game. As for Virginia, Jerome put up 21 points and 8 for 16 shooting, 4 for 9 from 3, 6 assists, 9 rebounds. He's an all-around player that knows how to play at a whole other level. But there's a guy that I really do want to talk about. And that's Kyle Guy. Yes, DeAndre Hunter was also good, putting up 14 points. But Kyle Guy is someone I've talked about last week, and I've talked about later in my show. But Kyle Guy is a guy that I see can play at another level. He can play in the NBA. I see him. He reminds me so much of a Klay Thompson kind of player. He's long, he can shoot, he's tall, he's got the right stroke, and he's going to be something special. As for Auburn, Harper, Brown, and Doherty combined for 36 points and a lost effort for Auburn, which we all know that might have been a travel double dribble in the final possession. The point is, Virginia is going to the championship. Second game involved Michigan State versus Texas Tech. Obviously, we know Texas Tech won. First of all, I do want to talk about Mooney. He put up 22 points, 4 for 8 from 3, and 8 for 16 from 3, or for shooting the game. He put up a very great performance. Culver, though. Culver's where I want to hit at. Jared Culver signified himself as, I think, the number 3 prospect, in my opinion, as of this moment. He showed that he struggled throughout the entire game, but when it comes down to it, he can win games. If any of you guys saw my tweet, I said that right now, at the 3-minute mark, I said Jared Culver's going to take over the ball. I said, if you're a scout, this is the moment you die to see. Because you want to see, can he take the game into a whole other level, and no matter how bad of a game, because he's not always going to succeed in games, you will struggle in games. I want to see, will he still take the ball and show that he's the best player in the court, and he did that. Yes, he finished with 10 points, but that step back 3, the layup, all the stuff he did to get that win was because of him. Other side of Michigan State, Winston put up a great game, 16 points, 4 for 16 shooting, which is not as great, shooting for 8 from 3, but he still is effective. He will be an NBA player at some point. I don't know to what level. But let's finish this off. My prediction for the NCAA championship. Now, no, I did not have either one of these teams. We all know I said Duke. And in my bracket, I was done before. Last week, my family went in with my mom, and she won it all. Shout out to my mom, Lori Schumaker. But I think the team that's going to win, I got to go with Texas Tech. It's going to be a good game, but with Jarrett Culver, he is the guy. Virginia, all around, yeah, they can play. But Texas Tech, I really do hope they win, and I think they will. Other news about college around the league, as this is a quick thing, Jerry Stackhouse has now agreed to a Vanderbilt for a 6-year deal. I'm a huge fan, so I think it's a big attraction point. Seeing guys like Penny Hardaway, now seeing Jerry Stackhouse, seeing Jason Kidd might go into California, UCLA, we'll see. All these former players are starting to come in. Fred Hoiberg's back. A lot of these guys are coming together now, and it's going to be a big attraction point. Former NBA players, some of them are very elite NBA players, and I applaud this. This is a great move for Vanderbilt, great move for Jerry Stackhouse. I'm excited to see how this pans out. He's been incredible with the G League team, developing the guys down in Toronto's G League. I think he's going to be a great player, or a great coach, and he's going to develop Vanderbilt into a very good program. That's what I want to say about college for this week. Stay tuned. Tonight is the big night, the national championship, and it will be decided who's the victory and who the number one team is. Stay tuned, everyone. I know that no one's going to want to be going anywhere because SchuZ Zone are next, and we all know I discuss some of the biggest topics that does not get enough media attention throughout the past week. Stay tuned because SchuZ Zone has a lot of hot topics. SchuZ Zone today, I'm going to hit up Giannis Antetokounmpo. And this is my thing. I want to say, how exactly do you stop Giannis? Because Giannis had a quote the other day saying, they put DeAndre Jordan on me, they put Gobert, they put Joel, they put Jared Allen. They keep doing that, blank, but it doesn't work. Well, that started making me think. What exactly does stop Giannis Antetokounmpo? And my theory is a couple things. One, go to a zone, do something like that. But I do think that Giannis will be stoppable. He doesn't shoot, so that's why I'm saying go to a zone. You also got to think, I don't necessarily agree with teams putting the centers on them. Maybe they're in the zone to protect the rim, but there's other guys. And they're coming, such as maybe Bobo. Porzingis will be back next year. There's a lot of these guys starting to develop. Kevin Durant, I think he can get him. I do think Giannis is one of the most unguardable players ever, just in terms of his athleticism, his length, and so on. But I do not believe he is necessarily the most unstoppable freak. There's always a way to stop someone. And there will be a way with Giannis. Here's another thing. I saw a stat the other day. A lot of people keep saying, as I said before, Giannis compared to Shaq. I disagree once again because Shaq was a center, more like Embiid, as opposed to Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is, yes, a Shaq on the wing. But here's the comparison. At the age of 24, which is what Giannis is, this is what Shaq put up at his age of 24. Giannis put up 27.4 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, 5.9 assists, and he shot 57.7% from the field. On the other side, Shaq was shooting, he scored 26.2%, or 26.2 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, 3.1 assists on 55.7%. So yes, Giannis is better ball, so I do want to say this. I truly do believe that stats are increased more in nowadays game, just because of the fact that there is more scoring allowed. The rules are not as they're helping the players more. I think that's all undebatable. So yes, that is my take on Giannis Antetokounmpo and how necessary to stop him. Next thing, I want to talk about Russ. First off, Russell Westbrook put up a 20-point, 20-rebound, 21-assist game, second player ever to do it behind Wilt Chamberlain, which happened many, many years ago. Russell Westbrook has been doubted all year because of shooting percentage, because of losing, winning, so on and so on. Russell Westbrook, he's a star. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame player, and he still knows how to play. I'm tired of that. I never agree with anyone that said that. Russell Westbrook is still amazing. After the game, he dedicated the game to Nip, which I do want to say, rest in peace, Nip. He had an amazing thing what he done for the community. Back to Russell Westbrook. He's now averaged a triple-double for 3 straight years. Remember how big of a deal it was for that first year? Well, they did that last year, now again. This is 3 years. This is becoming common. It's not even a big deal. We're talking about he might even be NBA all first team, second. People don't really want to give him the credit. I think it's ridiculous and crazy. It's laughable to think that people do not want to give credit to him. Why not? There's no reason because he doesn't shoot. You'll find the very small weaknesses in him. It's absurd. It's comical. I disagree with everything about not giving Russell Westbrook the credit. Listen to this stat, folks. Russell Westbrook, he has a higher chance of dropping a triple-double than he does at making a shot. You hear that? It's not that his shooting percentage is that bad. His shooting percentage is at 42.6%. There's a 44.9% chance that Russell Westbrook will have a triple-double. I'm not just saying let you guys process that for a second. Think about it. There's a higher chance of him getting a triple-double than there is of him being able to make a field goal. That is absurd. 44.9% chance he gets a triple-double, 42.6% chance he makes a shot. Russell Westbrook is incredible, folks. This is something you're not going to be able to see probably again in your lifetime, so get used to it and give him the credit he deserves. Other news is that John Calipari has now received a lifetime deal with Kentucky. He's not going nowhere. He's not going nowhere. John Calipari is an amazing coach in what he's done with Kentucky. Yes, there's downs, there's up and downs with him, but John Calipari, I believe, deserves it. Congratulations to him. And of course, we're going to talk some Zion again. We heard this week that he's going to be possibly having the biggest bidding war anyone's ever seen for an athlete with a shoe deal. He's going to be making it close to a $100 million deal potentially. He also was named AP Player of the Year and many other awards, joining only Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant to be able to get that award. He also almost broke a backboard, if you guys have seen that video. Zion Williamson, he's going to sell money. He's going to get money, he's going to sell tickets. Zion Williamson's an incredible player, and if he's not turning out to be a great player, he will produce money at all different levels. Next up, I'm going to talk about Brooklyn Nets. As I said, we have now clinched a spot in the playoffs. We're currently the 6th seed. That is insane. I am so excited. It is something special right now. As D'Angelo Russell said, we have proved the doubters wrong. He's still in shock. But to reward that, Kenny Atkinson and his rest of the staff have received a 2-year extension along with Sean Marks. It's more than desirable. I believe that Kenny Atkinson and his crew wants to get plucked to go play in different teams, and Sean Marks will be remaining a Brooklyn Net for a very long time. Next thing, Lonzo Ball is more drama. Yes, his agent or his manager and all this threw away the big ball branches that we saw. Also, Lonzo Ball covered up his BBB tattoo. We now see that Lonzo will pick his new agent, not LeVar Ball. Everyone thought LeVar Ball would do as LeVar said. We'll see what happens here. In terms of, I just hope this thing, I want to see what ends up working out with the Ball brothers. I don't believe that Jello should belong in the NBA. I'm excited to see what Melo does, but I understand. I mean, the NCAA, we all know there's issues there. I don't agree with anything about players not getting paid, but I don't think he's even going to be able to get in eligibility-wise anyways. So it's good to see him go overseas. Let's see what he does. But he's suing Alan Foster, $2 million for the Big Baller brand. I don't know exactly what's going on. There's a lot of drama surrounding Lonzo, this whole Lakers situation. I'm not sure exactly where to go into this. As for Pop, he was ejected 63 seconds into the game. 63 seconds. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. I just want to bring that up and say Popovich, he somehow got his team to the playoffs again. We need to give him credit. All right. Next thing, Warriors have now won 5 straight division titles. This is a dynasty, folks. I don't want anyone else denying this. Warriors have won 5 straight division titles. Also, Steph Curry got fined $25,000. Draymond was fined $35,000 and KD $15,000 for their fights this past week. Kevin Durant was also rejected later. Warriors, I don't think they care about the playoffs. They don't care about the regular season. They just want to get to the playoffs. They don't care about the playoffs. They just want to go and play in the NBA Finals. Channing Frye just had his last game today. Channing Frye, a very good NBA veteran. This is the way he wants to explain his quote, and he walked out. It was a great thing seeing Kevin Love want to come off the bench first time in almost 9 years, coming out wearing the U of A Channing Frye jersey. Channing Frye then gets dogpiled when he leaves this game. But Channing Frye said this when he retired. Listen, I'm rich, I'm a champion, I'm 35 and retiring, and I'm living a great life. So, if you think I still suck, I'll see you at the LA Fitness in a year. Blank, blank. We don't need to discuss exactly what those words were. It was a great ending. Obviously went viral if you've seen it. It's well worth seeing if you guys really want to see the rest of the tweet. But Channing Frye, Congratulations, enjoy retirement. Now, if anyone else saw this, Bradley Beal also went on and he was told, "You suck" by Denver Nuggets fan. His answer was a great pose. Had followers on Twitter. That's the way NBA players should handle it. Not saying anything of Westbrook and how he reacted when the issue occurred with the fans at the Utah Jazz game. But this is the way I respect players that can just laugh it off, play with it. None of the fans necessarily get to them. Next thing, I want to talk about Theo Pinson's buzzer beater. Best of luck to Long Island Nets. I hope they can also win their G League finals. He had a very big buzzer beater to defeat the Lakeland Magic to advance to the advance to the championship. Also, congratulations to Texas on the NIT champions. Congratulations. They could have two Big 12 teams winning the two championships in the NCAA. Last thing I'm going to talk about here. This is a heavy topic, but Kristaps Porzingis is in the rape case. I hope Kristaps did not do this. This is one of the first things we've seen by NBA players getting out to the public and actually occurring. I hope this is not true. If so, this will destroy Porzingis and a potential top 5 player, potentially best player in the NBA. I pray that this is not true, because Porzingis is something special, folks. This would be a waste of talent and something that we do not want to miss. He's something that's going to produce at a high level for the next 10 so years, along with Luka Doncic on that Dallas Mavericks team that Donnie Nelson, Cuban, and Rick Carlisle assembled. That's all I got for you guys today on SchuZ Zone. I hope that all you guys enjoyed today's show as much as I did. This does conclude the 5th episode of SchuZ Views. If you'd like to stay up to date and get involved in future SchuZ Views episodes, please go and follow me at Zach Schumaker on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or subscribe to me on YouTube. Please leave a 5-star review if you love viewing SchuZ Views, or follow, subscribe, like, or applaud on depending on the platform you may be listening to. I hope to see you guys in a couple of days, because midweek I'll be dropping a special episode with one of my former coaches, Coach Kurt Keener, to discuss the 16 teams that I think and how they will play in the big stage of the NBA playoffs. Also, if you enjoy this show and you'd like to continue to make it great, please, there is an option to go and become a supporter of the show, right, if you're listening in Anchor. I'm your host, Zach Schumaker, and I'm out. God bless.